This is our application for Green Project Award. And really, we're applying because we just wanted to share this concept in case it does anyone else any good, and in case we can learn from them too, because this sustainability challenge the world is facing is going to need all of us, and we want to be part of that team. So please do not hesitate to get in touch. My name is Hazel. I happen to be the voice presenting for the public library in Brunswick, Maine, which is Curtis Memorial Library, but there's really a huge team of us who are involved in the sustainability work you're about to hear about in every aspect of the library. Today, we're going to be concentrating on chatting about what we as a library do, specifically to lend things. So you may have heard that there's certain tool libraries exist in the world, and maybe even your normal public library. If you have a public library in your region, maybe it lends a microscope or a telescope. Well, yeah, and so traditional libraries excel at sharing, but how community members use the local community hub, we certainly help patrons and patrons their community rooms, with study spaces, with internet access, and so much more. But we started thinking, how would our community's lives be improved if we share our and we made our resources more accessible to those with disabilities, vision, language, and we started thinking, how would this impact equity, carbon footprint, and just transition to this better world, with, of course, a better, really vision. Well, so yes, libraries are things, tool libraries and other community centers all over the world, but in, I'd say 2017, we really, Memorial Library decided to join their ranks, and we developed a public library collection of things, which you can link to here, and in coordination with kind of extensive sustainability programming. So originally, every item we purchased for our collection was tied to community, a group, and a program, and we have increased the collection to meet local needs and global sustainable development for the past few years. And this has actually made our resources more accessible to those with diverse abilities and interests, and beyond that, just delighted our patrons. Literally, you can hear squeals of delight at times. So today, we have kind of significantly expanded our sustainability commitment, joining the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, and all sorts of things. And we continue to curate our things and share our lessons learned so that other libraries may improve on our systems and then tell us how, so we can get better too. So again, we're here today because it's our hope that others will adopt these library things and then share your success so we can learn from you, and together we can make an even bigger impact. So yes, I kind of forgot to move the slides ahead, but basically that is what we're looking for. Understanding this impact of powerful tools, processing equipment, and more, we really designed our library selection to provide a display system for these physical resources. So both on the shelves, in the basement, hanging up when they're oversized, and then even just every tag, so that other libraries could them. We really ensured too, when we actually spent money on purchasing items, not just when items were donated, because sometimes things are donated, like those little pianos, they were donated by a wonderful community organization. But when we spent money on items, we really made sure that each item had an educated user base and a project that we were going to do with it with a sustainability goal. So that really helped us make sure that as we grew our library things, we had dedicated users interested in all of it. For example, I want to say that in the spring of 2017, right when we started, we had local mushroom experts. They volunteered their time to teach 25 patrons how to grow their own mushrooms with the tools we purchased. And after that program concluded, we then lent those tools to any patron. And nowhere could one just rent these inexpensive mushroom log drills or metal dehydrators. like together, our community exponentially reduced the time and cost required for a cultivation of this, really nutritious local resource. And we increased access to this local food. So this type of thing procurement strategy really is key to our success, we think, because it ensured that each object had an educated user base and that sustainability goal. And now, of course, we're running numerous of what we're calling growing literacy programs with community partners every year. So again, really, this is about recognizing that libraries and things can help us engage and escape. And any library can do this. We are small. No, we're a public library that's a pretty decent regional community hub. We serve 30,000, 25,000 patrons of towns from Maine, but many more people come to our programs, and we lend a ton of books. Often on these sustainability topics, because of course our collection has sustainability integrated into it too. So for example, we are known for our permaculture books, our gardening books. And we have about 1,000 daily visitors. And in many ways of traditional libraries, we have a traditional quiet area, we have space for collaboration, we have amazing volunteers. But despite this, even in our local community, we have a lot of problems. We haven't met the sustainable goals. We have food insecurity and that. So many of our partnerships are with organizations and people working to meet our community needs, such as access to quality, healthy local food, but also to help your soul to sing, right? Because it's one thing to kind of survive, be basic, sustainable, but that's not what we're going for, of course, here as libraries. We're here to delight. We're here to help people. We're here to make life joyful, right? We want something beyond basic sustainability. So cultivating this library of things at Curtis Memorial Library is just one strategy for us and our partners to kind of explore more solutions to our local equity, economic, environmental challenges. And again, of course, to share what we learned with the hopes that it helps others. So access to our library of things can really help us connect and celebrate our diversity. It can help us be lifelong learners. We can, really create and use a lot of things that help us engage and escape and allow humans to really thrive. So you can see we have a lot of different items. And we don't want to actually lend everything. Here are 4 examples of items we lend in our catalog. But we're open to lending just about everything. We don't want to lend, some, right? We don't want to lend hate. We don't want to lend deathly germs. We don't want to lend underwear. We should probably avoid some of that. But we do want to lend a lot of other things. So for example, we have been able to lend tools to help our patrons address local needs for their climate programming. So if you want to go camping, you could borrow our solar stove. And if you check out actually the drawdown solutions list, we actually help them support those pathways for low carbon futures. So we actually lend little garden plants that then people can return with another cutting. So we give them a cutting and they can return the cutting. We lend hand tools that for no-till agriculture, like this broadfork. We lend I don't know if you're into crafts as art or kitchen appliances, but we, for example, for your humans like food, many do. We lend a lot of these kitchen processing preserving tools, all cooking tools, which allows people to actually access some free local produce that would otherwise languish in fields. So we have that at the library as part of our partnership that we've done. And we actually host cooking classes, people how to use this book, maybe, how to deal with a kohlrabi, right? Some people don't know. They've never seen kohlrabi before. Maybe they're used to amaranth, of course we go through, but it's not the same. And we're helping folks through our library things learn how to cook with local and basically plant-based foods from a diversity of cultures. So we have woks, we have tagines, we have plenty of food preservation equipment. So these are all just, we're using our library of things and lending these items as a way to support our sustainability program. And so that is in every category. So here you have an example of our, as part of our garden kits, we have our preparation and propagation tools. You can see some of them. All of our tools are electric, none of them are gas. And this really, like, if you've never tried gardening, well, you don't have to have tried everything to be able to borrow these tools, know how to use. So this just really increases what we're able to support in our community. You can lend a book, that tells you how to do this stuff. But then the book often will say, hey, it would be really great if you had a broad fork. Well, broad fork is like $100. Or hey, it'd be really great if you had a dehydrator. Well, a dehydrator, that's a lot of metal in that dehydrator. Wouldn't it be great if we could share that, especially if you're using it a few times a year? So that's what you can see here. We have an example of all the programming we do, of not all, of a couple of the programs we do. And we have run hundreds and hundreds of programs, and I've linked to that in this presentation in the application material, with examples of programs that you could run too. Most of these programs, because we partner with other community organizations, we don't, it's not all on us to provide the knowledge. So we're able to share that knowledge, share some of the responsibility for these programs with our colleagues and friends. And one thing I will say we do, we try to make sure we tackle it with local partners, try to cover a wide variety of areas, best for meeting kind of the bare minimum sustainable development goals, and obviously hopefully adding delight. For example, a growing literacy has allowed movement to learn the basics of culture, and Eat Our Yards lecture series have allowed previously disparate groups to come together to learn more specialized. Our seed library provides hard to find seeds as part of the Open Source Seed Initiative for aspiring growers. Sustainable Me talks has shown how to build pizza ovens. Patrons can use leftovers and feedback scraps made in a scrap craft lesson and preserve fruit from sound trees by borrowing the dehydrator. And I think everyone mentioned how we kind of our own brand of coffee, vegetables, organic farms, again by partnering with containers. Then those used grounds from coffee, of course, provide food for a worm system, where they wriggle about to for shred. And then, of course, we're also able to host events about other events, kind of ranging from large forum gatherings to discuss evolving approaches to food sharing in regions and kind of the more intimate racial wealth gap simulation. So that list I just went through is kind of just an example of how we tackled some of our food insecurity challenges, because we have a lot of food insecure patrons in our area, with programming that met their local needs, but also was working with the sustainable development goals, hopefully meeting those needs. We didn't just go imported food that wasn't maybe made with lots of, right? We tried to solve it in a holistic way. Not that we didn't do plenty wrong. I'm sure we did. I know we did in many circumstances. We're not going for perfection, and that's perfect, right? I think some poets said, but we're trying hard, and we're just trying to improve. So on that note, I think understanding the impact of these sharing, understanding the impact of sharing powerful tools like food processing equipment, musical instruments, recreational supplies, and so much more. I'll go through the categories in a minute. We just continually redesign our library savings system, provide a lending system for physical resources that any other library can replicate and improve. While each kind of nonfiction section has a standard packaging of various sizes, the features actually vary. For example, our kitchen section features items for events, for processing, preserving, cooking, baking, while our kind of science and technology section features repair, fix-it, and tinkering supplies, science kits, citizen science tools, appliances, and so forth. And patrons are actually able to browse those items, especially our oversized tools, online, and then the staff members will actually retrieve the oversized items just by the elevator, which is how we put them there. Although I will note, this all started in a network room, and like part of a network room in a closet, basically, and just a binder of pictures of these tools. So you don't have to be all fancy and have an online system like we have. That took us time to create. In fact, I think that's one of the takeaways is that we have run a lot of programs and do lend in a lot of tools now. But we really run many programs that meet people where they're at in terms of sustainability and climate action. So this means that we've really tried to listen to and have learned from various climate communicators, community organizers, sort of justice proponents, who have really provided a lot of guidance on how to support these transitions to different habits. So for example, we didn't begin our craft classes and craft school purchases by sharing all of our materials for support the use of wood scraps, paper scraps, etc. However, later craft classes became so popular, and this year we really pushed them to challenge actually the status quo of some of our crafting traditions. So we were looking at kind of really doing a deep dive into, okay, what is eco ink? What is eco sculpture? What is eco dye? What are eco binders, tape, and glue? And we were able to do this now because of the many years of investment in appropriate tools and resources on this topic, and feeding people's interest in those topics. Just to be fair, not everyone is there already. So this research here is from the Maine Climate Table, which I just encourage, is really important to us how we approach this. We didn't say we're very passionate about sustainability, but we recognize maybe not everyone is, and that's okay. We're going to meet people, all of our patrons, where they're at, and help them find appropriate solutions to their problems. That's our goal, right? The help desk. That's we as libraries do, but we want to do it in a way that's respectful to our environment. So that's how we're, approaching this. So this is our webpage of our library. So as you can see, it's next to and we really go through it. We try to be very transparent. We choose what we would like to have. And it really started out in a small closet and with catalog notebook. Now, home a ton and all the browse online, which has been really loved that. And the MyTrend software we use is delightful, but we went through a few iterations of different online, WordPress plugins, etc., to get to that before we invested in it. And then you can see we have a lot of different categories. So whether you're we have a big English literacy program where we're at. We have folks really into soil health now. We have folks really into fixing things. We have folks really into exploring the world through games and food. So we have a lot of, you can look here, we have a lot of categories you can look through. And again, we'll really try to explain on our website with links why we do not have what in our other development policies. So you can take a look at those. These library things items can be seen on the shelf. You can see this is our garden section. We actually do have garden tools on our shelf, which folks actually love. Or they can be searched in the catalog. So you can see this very traditional kind of online catalog where you don't have pictures. We weren't able to put pictures of like the basket weaving kit in there, but you can still see that you can see it. Basically, we found out that we treat things like books as much as we can, and that really helps us provide people with access. So that's kind of been one of them. In the exact same section, give it a little more room. So I want to step back for a minute and talk about why we're doing this. And why we're willing to share it. Basically, our community, like every community, for example, we have food insecurity, we have homeless population, inflation concerns, we have kind of toxics in our air and soil to a certain extent. We're not prepared for emergency expenses, so there's just a lot going on here. And unfortunately, with climate change, what we know is that this is going to get even more challenging, right? You can see the Climate Central website in the background. Our region's going to get wetter and warmer. We're going to continue to host climate refugees. And also just we as an institution, global warming. The Maine Climate Council, here, transportation is a large cost. And as a library, we're working to reduce that by we have an electric outreach vehicle. We've joined the Sustainable Library Initiative, and we have a lot of documentation on all the ways we put in life. We're a native
pollinators, etc. But ultimately, our greatest ability to impact transitions, a kind of a regenerative economy and better way of life, is going to rely on our ability to help public share research and change the habit. Because that's where we are here to serve. And we know the public wants to do this. And so we provide these books and programs one way to support it. And lending things significantly increases our impact and to enable our patrons and our community to change their lives. For example, in Maine, it's really hard to eat locally in the winter, if you don't have either dried food or a greenhouse or something like that. So, we provide those tools all of them, and our farmers are there, as well, and providing us with veg that then we can dehydrate. So there's just a lot of different ways in which we are looking at how our life is challenging now, how it's going to get more challenging, and trying to think of creative ways in which we can support our community and make it a little easier for them, and to meet their needs, but also to do it in a way that gives them choice, right? So of course that's a large task. We're not saying we're succeeding in all of it, but I will say that we couldn't do it alone. Our community here, we are so lucky. We just have amazing friends here, but I think that can be true to any library anywhere around the world. And the reason we're able to provide all these integrated services is through the community partnerships we've cultivated. For example, we were able to support the needs of food while supporting the long-term viability of our region with programs with partners like Worms, Mid-Coast Hunger Prevention Programs, SNAP-Ed, Brunswick Hospital Land Trust, and so many others. We've reached out to, or they've now reached out to us. Basically, our library contributes the ask for participation, the knowledge of attendee needs, and a marketing frame for any of this collaboration, and the space to gather. And then they come in often with, expertise about topic, or maybe specialized, maybe kind of specialized materials, like Jock brings his worms. We don't have to sort, but usually we're actually able, we provide the worm bin casting equipment, because Jock, at any time, we now lend it out. And we also provide the worm casting sprayer, so you can make worm tea and spray it anywhere with the castings, which is the nutrient rich fertilizer. So basically, this success is replicable. What we're trying to say, if you get together with good people, we do have a long way to go and a lot of problems to tackle, but we can do it. And one of the great ways that we found to be able to tackle these community issues, deep entrenched is with the library. And we've just really been honored to work with kind of partners, and hope you'll join us or give us a ring. We can work with you. So with that note, we recognize that we're not going to make the big impact that we hope to make. That we hope to make together, that we hope everyone can make for our global survival, and hopefully, the ability to thrive, is by sharing what we learn. So we try really hard to share what worked and what didn't work. Like me trying to avoid plastic, not laminating our tags, that didn't work. It didn't work. Bioplastic's coming. If you are, if it's here already and you know the source, please call me and let me know. But we tried a lot of different alternatives, and let's just say they failed. So that's well documented. That's here, documenting our catalog woes for this Library of Things. And we're trying to, so look at these, we have a lot of videos on our Library of Things website. You can see the URL right there. And again, if you have any questions, just call and ask. We actually just put up a video on FAQs because so many people had asked great questions. And we share actually these, again, we share recorded programs. So if we did a program on, all your solar options, so that's up online, and you just go to our website and it says, how do I watch a program I missed? And right there, all these sustainability programs. And just, how we've done all of this, if it's worked or if it's been a massive failure, we've tried to tell you that so you don't do it too. We even, if we have display ideas, I think we had a great check your privilege display, and we had a great, a display for International Solidarity Day that actually was associated with the climate solution microloan credit that we lended to our library thing. So we shared that on the website too. So as we're learning more about these climate solutions and the library of things, we are trying to share that. And the reason we're willing to share, of course, is because it's worked. we would also share slightly if it didn't work, but we want to share more because truthfully, it's been a huge success. What does that mean, right? So in this case, we are measuring success of our library things in resources borrowed, and probably most importantly in the heartfelt thing. We have hundreds of sustainability programs now have over 500 circulating items. Even when we get rid of an item, we give it to another library, then it tends to circulate well there. And these items have gone out over over 1,800 times in the last 2 years. We're constantly pushing the boundaries for what we can add to our since reinvesting in the library things as part of our 2020 collection, we've recruited over 2,800 patrons. Now, we don't know if those are all because they're all super excited about the library things, but I can tell you a lot of them are. I think also many of our really important results can be heard through grandparents and skills, newcomers, and cook with local ingredients, a low vision patrons able to play soccer with their grandchild thanks to our light of soccer ball. We just have tens and tens and tens of these stories. And, a functional skills teacher enthusiastically uses our collection in our classroom. Local friends groups that are more into repair than books have actually found our library now relevant, their needs and wants. So we have increased access and kind of equity by doing it. Now, of course, we're biased towards books. We're a library, biased towards books and book clubs. But now we're just more equitable. And, we actually had to add an option to our feedback form to allow people I love it. Because over 100 humans edited our original feedback form to state that fact. That, oh, I like it. I'm not, all crossed out and wrote, I love it. Tens of love letters, and as of yet, not a single negative response. I mean, we did get one that was lukewarm. It was like, I have a lot of these things. I don't necessarily know if I would use it, but I really, really like that we have it in our community. So that being said, we're not just sitting here saying, oh, yay, we're successful, we're done. We're constantly reevaluating each item. And if an item doesn't go out in a year, we get rid of it. And we have presentations on the nitty gritty of all this, how you package it, what we do, how you catalog it. So we're always looking at the programs, what's their needs. For every donation we accept, we constantly rank priorities of kind of local needs, global goals. And as a result, just as libraries provide literacy programs with them, we are providing programs. We're not assuming that you know how to make rope if we have a rope maker. But we might not say, we actually don't say in our collection, the reason we have a rope maker is, rope or plastic netting and whatnot really is one of the large pollutants in our ocean. So we thought, oh, look, we could use this instead. And that works well with some of our fiber. So we, over the last 5 years, our partners in Seattle, we've hosted hundreds of programs that have focused on the needs in the realms of people care and equity, fair share in our economy, planet reform, ecology, and more. This really has allowed us to support a variety of literacy, growing literacy, social justice literacy, digital literacy, organizing and collective literacy, traditional skills and making literacy, science and impacts literacy, cultural literacy, and growing and food literacy. Obviously, you don't have to call those literacies, but we like to because supporting these literacies requires us to lend books and tools as varied as our patrons can, from scrap crafts to school options and more. And we're just really proud of what a success this has been and how our communities have made it. Because it wouldn't have happened without them and their amazing generations. And that is just really great. So in sum, libraries have amazing potential to scale climate-friendly actions when we're able to work together with our communities, partners to put on programs in our communities, folks who are, a lot of this
so many of these tools and things were given to us. We didn't go out and buy, this apple peeler. It was donated. You didn't go out and buy a lot of the stuff. It was donated. We did buy some of it, but there's just so much potential here. This can be replicated. So our Borrowing Beyond Books program, as part of our Library of Things at Curtis Memorial Library, we really feel is a successful example of a way to support the Sustainable Development Goals in a way that anyone in any library can do. And we would love to help anyone who wants to, go down that road, with the hopes that we're going to learn from you as well. In fact, I know we will. There's no doubt about that. We already have learned from a ton of colleagues who have started down this way. And we also just want to say thanks to everyone who's come before, and all the amazing helpful partners we've had along the way. We've learned a ton and hope to keep doing so. So thank you so much for listening to our story, and we hope to collaborate soon.